G'day traders, welcome to wrap up of Wednesday, November the 23rd. So starting today, very much a similar situation to yesterday and even the day before that. On the daily charts, we're very much in a downtrend. It's sold off over 100 points now in the last 4 or 5 days. We've seen about 6 red candles in a row. So you've got to have a perception that the sellers are around, so going with the sellers is a good idea, but knowing that a downtrend like this just can't continue forever. It's unnatural for a market just to continue in one straight line downwards, so we're going to at some stage have a pullback. So start today expecting the buyers to come in at some stage. Also bearing in mind today is the last day of the week because we've got Thanksgiving in the US tomorrow, so typically before a long weekend or any sort of holidays, the markets like to at some stage push up. It's like a feel-good thing where they end the day a little bit up. So with all that in mind, sellers around, but definitely buyers should have a chance at some stage bringing the market up. You can see continued straight along with the downtrend. We're well above the gap, well below the gap as well. So the market had a pretty good sell-off in the pre-market, and we've pushed down. So for the first hour of the day, just pushed down through these 3 power points, and at any stage here, there's nothing really going. We're all we're waiting for now is a pullback and the chance to be able to do something when the market's just going a straight line down like this. There's not a real lot of opportunities. Pull back to this power point here. So this one, especially when we've got quite a considerable downtrend, it went from 76 down to 64, so 12-point trend. Like normally this first one doesn't normally hold the market up. In this case, you see it's just got 2 points out of it. But normally the second one's a little bit better. This one's not ideal because it wasn't set really high enough. But if this one had to come up a little bit higher, up around this 1170 mark, and you can see there's previous sellers resistance up here. This would be a great area to take up a little bit higher. Chances of this here pushing through that power point and heading up towards this resistant area is quite high. So you've got to think where your stop out's going to be. And this particular one, I wouldn't call this a high value, even though it worked, or would have been very hard to get on it. It worked, it held the market up. A lot better spot would have been taken up here, and it normally would get up to that particular position up. So from there, it pushed back down again, so hoping for a bit more of a pullback to give us an opportunity to get on the downside. Not really enough of a pullback yet. Now it's continued again to make lows, so now it's coming down to 1161. So at this stage it's breaking yesterday's lows. So on the daily charts, there's nothing holding it up as far as the buyers are concerned. So from here, it's basically the market's unlimited as to where it can actually fall to. So we're getting into spaces where the market could really have a heavy fall, even though it didn't this particular day. It's kind of heading in that kind of situation, got that look about it. So approaching lunchtime now, so the market pulled back a little bit, and through lunch, just pulling back. At this stage now, the predictive has pulled back, and at this stage, the predictive started to cross back down. So got a sell signal just here on the 5-minute chart. So one that ideally not in a bad situation, just not a particularly great one after. Like I said, not a particularly great one, just because a lot of the other markets weren't really, they weren't strong on the upside or on the downside. I just felt that there's a little bit of a neutral area. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking the buyers are going to come in, so I guess kind of like a little bit of a, go with your gut feeling, go with what you've previously seen before, even though this area is possible to go down and make the lows, and it could be quite a good trade. One that I didn't really want to go with, and just thought this power point was going to hold the market up, which in the end it did. And from there, I thought this power point here had, as far as a power fade trade, like pushing up, had quite some good value in it, because this downside failed here, and you can see it's pushed sideways. All of a sudden, the predictive's gone from crossing down over here to right here, crossing up. So all this pressure's going to the upside, and there's all of a sudden a release of those sellers and a chance for the buyers to have a bit of a go. So an early power fade entry and get on here and get a couple of points out of there was an area that I was very much looking at this particular time. And the market expected to push a little bit higher and start to see the buyers come in. In the end, once again, as the sellers have done in the last week or so, they took control back or pushed the market sideways, and once again pushed down through these 3 power points here. So a bit of an opportunity there, and then once we start heading back down again, the market's getting, it's quite tough to get on, as it's pretty much just slowly grinding. And then after grinding down now, we started to see a bit of upwards movement. You can see not a lower power points here, and we're pushing up through these upper power points, so definitely some pressure coming back through to the upside. All the 5-minute charts, so predictives, everything's starting to cross to the upside, so some value is starting to come in this upside here. But you've got to be very careful because you're going to take this trend quite early. Best off waiting till it gets up past areas like this. So this is basically the seller's resistance. So once you break up through here, that's an indicator that definitely the buyers are around, and that's the time to get on the buy side rather than trying to get on early. If you're trying to get on around here, I guess you're going to catch a good trend if you do get it, but it's a very tricky area, and you're very likely to get stop out until you break these areas. So I personally was waiting for it to bust up a bit higher and then start to look for some buyers. Never eventuated, and just kept pulling back. And again, it had another go at the buyers. Even here, you expect it to start to push up. End of the day, end of the long weekend. But once again, sellers just way too strong. Just indication that sellers just have absolute control of this market. And this last half an hour here, the market just fell away. So overall, this particular day, a few opportunities there, but quite a tough day. It pretty much just grinded downwards all day. No real two-sided action to give us a lot of opportunities. So just got the 5-minute chart up here. So looking at here, if it had a pull back here, this would have been a great area to sell. You can see there's a 5-minute setup here, but it's too close to low, so very hard to take because you're kind of throwing the dice in regards to the low here. But if this had a push down, pull back a little bit more to say 1171, then went for the low, this would have been a lot better area to go for. But the fact it's pull back, then had to go, then pull back again, it's almost like a second time it's going for that low, and that's why I think this kind of area has a lot less value. And this is that sell, that 5-minute sell I was talking about before, where it came, in a not too bad area, but overall, definitely not a high percentage area, and one that I personally would have left alone. And then this is the area I was talking about as well as the potential to buy. All of a sudden, you can see this pressure switching to the upside, predictive crossing up. We had a power fade entry around here, and a potential there to get 3 or so points in that little bit of a push up there. And also the fact that this sell here failed also gives an indication that the buyers, just for that temporary period there, were around. So I thought that was probably one of the better valued areas of the day. Another area that we just kind of were looking at that never really eventuated was, you can see here the moving average is pointing up. So I thought, a chance that maybe after having all these sellers that the buyers could have a go. So you can see here we pushed up, pulled back, and the predictive crossed down. So a bit of a fade situation where you go with this moving average and look for catch this pullback and the market push back up. In the end, that obviously that didn't eventuate, and all the other markets, and it never really set up to take that buy anyway. So there was no harm done, but just something to be aware of in this kind of situation here. If there's some more buyers around, or a few more indicators that the buyers were going to take the market up, this is a great opportunity to take a fade. But that definitely didn't eventuate. And then from there on, it was a bit of a tough afternoon with not a great deal of movement. So that's a wrap up for Wednesday. That's it for the week. Thursday is Thanksgiving in the US, and then Friday is just a half day. Probably not a lot of action, as traders and institutions will probably take a long weekend and have the Friday off as well. So Friday will be open for half a market, but there won't be any more blogs until Monday. Have a good weekend.